Drama between Jaire Alexander and the Green Bay Packers has been very apparent for the last couple of seasons, and as Packer fans, we are very annoyed by it for sure. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be giving you the background of Jaire Alexander leading up all the way up to these last couple of years and the drama and why there's so much drama in between Jaire and the Green Bay Packers. And I'm also going to give you my personal prediction of what's actually going to happen to him. So stay tuned. So Jaire is only 28 years old. He just turned 28 in February, so he's still got at least three or four more years left of his prime, and he's still performing at a very high level. Going back to his college days, back in 2016 with the Louisville Cardinals, he was a very good cornerback. He had 5 interceptions in 2016, and he was projected to be an early first-round pick going into the 2017-2018 draft. But then when it came to 2017, he did pretty good as well, but he only played about 6 games due to an injury. And I'm going to be saying that word a lot this video. So in the 3 years of playing for Louisville, he played very good. He was a projected first-round pick for sure going into the 2018 draft, and he was selected by the Green Bay Packers in the number 18th overall pick, like I said, in the 2018 draft. Like I said before, he was a very good player. He had very high expectations going into the NFL, and he definitely lived up to that for sure. Taking a look at his PFF stats in 2018, his rookie year, he had a 72.4 grade. We also had 1 interception. So his rookie year was very good. He also made the all-rookie team back in 2018. 2019, he had a pretty decent year again, played a little bit more games with a 73.0. So Jaire Alexander was definitely living up to expectations up until 2020. 2020 was the year he was probably the best graded according to PFF with a 90.4 grade. He only had 1 interception, but again, he played very good and it earned him an all-pro second team and also his first career Pro Bowl. So as of right now, 3 years into the experience with Jaire Alexander and the Packers, very good first round pick so far until 2021. In 2021, he was off to a good start, recording 1 interception in the first 4 games, and then he ended up getting hurt due to a shoulder injury, which ended up missing him 13 games of 2021. He came back against the 49ers in the playoffs and did okay, but again, for the first 3 years was going great. He didn't really miss any games due to injury. He missed a couple here and there, but 2021 was beginning of the injury proneness of Jaire Alexander. Going into the 2022 season, the Packers actually ended up extending Jaire for a 4-year, $86 million contract with a lot of money guaranteed. And this was a big risk and gamble for the Packers just because, like I said, the 13 games he missed in the 2021 season, also missing a lot of games in college. So there was a lot of injury issues with Jaire Alexander. So this was a very risky deal for the Green Bay Packers. Like I said, 4 years, $86 million. And then 2022 was beautiful. So starting in 2022, first thing, he only missed 1 game with a groin issue. Not bad at all. So that's very good. But also, he had 5 interceptions, the most he had in a career and in at least in 1 season. So 2022 was definitely his breakout year per se, and that contract was looking amazing at that point. Like I said, going into the season, it looked really risky and kind of stupid at the point. But 2022, he made the Pro Bowl and also the second pro team again, just like he did in 2020. And like I said, it was all looking good. The grass was green and everything until 2023. So 2023 was a weird year for the Packers and Jaire Alexander. He did not record an interception, but he missed 10 games due to shoulder and back injuries. And he was definitely, all over the place on the injury report. He was questionable. He was doubtful. He was playing. All this weird little stuff. And the Packers were seriously confused with him. And then it ended up being a lot of drama between the Packers and Jaire Alexander, at least with the medical staff. So there was a lot of miscommunication with them. So like I said, he missed 10 games. The communication with the coaches, the training staff, Jaire, was all over the place. So 2023 was going off to a rough start. Then back in December of 2023, when the Packers ended up playing the Carolina Panthers, he ends up going out there for the coin toss before the game starts, and he was not supposed to. And so by him doing that, the Packers ended up suspending him for one game against ended up being against the Vikings, which is a very big game. So that was a really weird coincidence right there with him suspending him. Also, him going out there. I know Carolina was his home state and all that, but him going out there not really caring about what the Packers feel was a little interesting at that point. Then there was a lot of drama within those couple of weeks too. So like I said, 2023 was weird, then it was fine for a little bit, then it got weird again. But going into 2024, everything seemed fine. Everything's calmed down a lot. Like I said, 2024 season was going good. He was, had a couple interceptions in the first 4 or 5 games of the year until week 8. He ended up hurting his knee against the Chicago Bears, but before that, he missed a few games due to an injury. And so he missed a couple games. Like I said, he came back against the Bears, highly anticipated, thinking he's going to be completely 100%, and then plays for literally only the first quarter and then gets taken out of the game. And at that point, the day after that game, we only anticipated him being out for maybe a couple weeks and then he would come back out there. And honestly, for the first couple of weeks, it was looking like that because A, he didn't get put on the injured reserve. And, once you get put on IR, you have to miss at least 4 weeks. But he was never put on IR. So we all assumed he was going to be back in a few weeks. But he was practicing for the first couple of weeks. Questionable, all the way up until week 15, week 16 is whenever he decided to get the knee surgery in December. And at this point in December of last year, 2024, all Packer fans, all Packer Nation was trying to get a little tired of Jaire Alexander because what was the point of not playing all these games when you're not put on IR? And then he's practicing literally every single week. He's been a full participant of all these weeks. And now all of a sudden, in late December, he gets put on IR and also has a knee surgery. It's not like we're necessarily mad at Jaire. We just thought that it's really weird between him and the medical staff again that he wasn't put on IR immediately if the Packers knew he's going to be out for this long. So there's been a lot of reports ever since late January, early February that the Packers and Jaire are not on good terms at all. The Packers don't like his work ethic per se. Not his work ethic, but his injury designations, his injury concerns is not looking good for the Packers. And also Jaire Alexander not happy with the medical staff again, which I technically don't blame him, but there's just a lot of internal beef with the Packers and Jaire, and it was not looking good in February at all of 2025. All we keep hearing from Brian Gutekunst, which is the Packers GM, and Matt LaFleur, is that, we're working on things. Things are doing good right now, but we can't give too much answers right now. We can't give too much details. That's all that Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur have been saying since basically the draft point. And there's been a whole bunch of trade rumors. There's been a whole bunch of rumors saying the Packers are end up releasing. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Like, if you said, 99% of people would say that Jaire Alexander is not going to be playing on the Packers. That was the consensus, was that he's not going to play on the Packers. And this is back in February and March. So at this point, it's early March, middle March, the free agency period's happening. The Packers still have Jaire Alexander. They have no trade bait, at least yet, with him. They still obviously have not cut him. So things are looking a little weird again with this whole situation. The Packers saying they're going to trade him. The Packers saying they're not going to trade him. He's still on the team. Things are looking good. We can't say too much. I don't get any of this nonsense. Like I said, this is basically from February and March and basically into the draft. And like I said earlier in the video, there's been a lot of rumors that Jaire Alexander has been having beef with the Packer coaches, but then he's practicing with Packer players like Xavier McKinney during March. He's following the new players' Instagrams, like Nate Hobbs and just recently Matthew Golden. He's following their Instagram, so he's still communicating with the Packer players a lot. And he also, as of right now, which is April 28th, he did the voluntary virtual meetings a week ago, which, again, voluntary, so he didn't have to attend these meetings, so he wouldn't get fined or anything. So this whole situation with Jaire Alexander is getting really weird and really tiring at this point. Like I just said a second ago, we're sitting here April 28th. We're just after the draft a couple of days. Jaire Alexander is still currently on the team. And there's been reports from within the last couple of days from Brian Gutekunst saying, we're on good terms right now, but we're still working things through, which still doesn't make sense to me, at least in my opinion. You know, as a Packer fan, I feel like if the Packers were really trying to get rid of Jaire, they would have done it before the league year started because, A, you can at least address the cornerback room again before the free agency period and at least in the draft. But now, since you signed Nate Hobbs, which I like that signing, by the way, during the free agency period, we let go of Eric Stokes and Corey Ballantyne. And our cornerback room right now with Jaire Alexander, at least I think it's good. But if the Packers were really, really, really trying to get rid of him, they would have done it last year. They would have done it in February. They would have done it before the new league year started. But now, since we're sitting here after the draft and we're still getting wishy-washy answers from Brian Gutekunst, I just feel like he's going to stay. And like I was saying, you know, it's like, if they really wanted to address the cornerback room, they would have addressed it in the draft by drafting a cornerback maybe in the first round, second round, or third round. But not only they didn't select a cornerback in those rounds, they didn't select a cornerback until the 7th round. And they only drafted one cornerback. So it's like, what are the Packers doing? If you want to get rid of him so bad, supposedly, like I said, you would have already done it in early March. You would have already done it before the draft. You would have already traded him for a 7th round pick at this point. So the point, like, let's say the Packers did end up releasing him, there would be no point because, A, the draft is done. What draft capital we're going to get, or unless it's for next year. And 2, if you release him, what are you going to do with all that extra money? You're only getting like $6 million this year. So you're looking at the screen right now. You know, if the Packers end up releasing him before June 1st, they only save 7.5. Also the same exact thing if they ended up trading him before June 1st, but they trade him or release him after June 1st, they end up saving $17 million on this year's cap. So it's like you only save $7 million this year and you get rid of all the money basically. So you're eating all the dead cap for the next couple of years if they end up trading him or releasing him before June 1st. But if you end up trading him or releasing him afterwards, you're saving a little bit more money this year, a little bit more money this year, and then next year, you're not going to be saving as much. So now we're taking a look at the 2026 season. So after this season, so the Packers end up trading him or releasing before June 1st, they only save 17.4, which is a lot better than 7 million. But also if they end up releasing or trading him after June 1st of 2026, they save 19.5. So long story short, the Packers end up trading him or cutting him before June 1st this year, they save $7 million. If they end up trading him or releasing him after June 1st, they save about $17 million. And like I said, this season, then they have a whole bunch of dead cap next year. So we're after the draft. And like I said, the Packers haven't addressed the cornerback room except for Nate Hobbs. And I like that pick or I like that signing. They only drafted one cornerback. So we're sitting here at the point of after the draft. We got Jaire Alexander. We got Nate Hobbs. We got Javon Bullard, who's technically a cornerback now, I guess, because he's not really good at the safety position. So our cornerback room right now, Jaire Alexander is good, but what's the point of releasing him now when you get, A, no draft capital after the draft, and also you're only saving $7 million to go maybe sign Asante Samuel Jr. or something like that. Or they could just maybe trade him after, you know, or before June 1st. If they get like a 3rd round pick for next year somehow in God's miracle, then I would say accept that trade. But what's the point of trading him now for a 7th round pick for next year? Like, what point of that? So long story short, I think this is what the Packers are going to do. I think the Packers are going to end up keeping him this year. But I do say this is his last year on the Packers, or unless he has a 16-game season, all-pro, all second team pro, or if he makes a Pro Bowl or something like that, and then they'll keep him again. He's only 28 years old, so he still has at least 3 or 4 more years left on the tank. So I just think it makes complete sense for the Packers to keep him for at least this year. If he misses more than 10 games again next year, then you cut him or trade him before the new league year starts because you'd be saving a lot more money for next year's cap. But there's just no point of cutting him or trading him now. It just don't make any sense. Even seeing all these rumors, I don't know, man. I just think the Packers should just keep him for this year. But let me know what you think down in the comments below of what's going to happen with Jaire. How do you feel? What do you think is going to happen? And all that little nonsense. But again, I think he's going to end up staying for at least 1 more year. And it just makes sense. So like I said, let me know. Like down below. And yeah, I'm out of here. Deuces.